everybody, it's Amanda. I'm sitting here, I have my computer. I have a list of things that I need to talk about on this channel because I feel like there are so many people that ask me questions about what should I do when I start a channel, what are some things that I should talk about, and what are things that you have regrets about. What are some things that you regret talking about on YouTube? And I have a whole list here. I have a whole entirety of a list. So I'm kind of excited to share this because this should also set the tone for future videos as well. So if you are on social media and you post on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook is another big one. And I will talk to you about what I feel I have made mistakes about over the last 3 years of being on YouTube. And things that I will continue to never share. And actually the list is starting to get longer. So as we create videos and we talk on camera about all sorts of things, you start to get comfortable, right? You start to know your audience, you start to get comfortable, and you start talking about things that you really wish that you never would have brought up. So we'll go over the first list. Things I wish I never shared. I wish I never shared my profession on YouTube. Not necessarily because my profession is negative. It's just the view of my profession is not always considered a real job or something that I could utilize to help my family. I've also shared other professions that I have done in the past, and the other day I made a video on why I don't want to be a CNA or a caregiver. And you can go ahead and go back and check out that video. I'm not going to discuss the reasons why in this video because that is not what this video is about. One thing that I feel was a big negative that came to YouTube when I shared that I was on a low income and have been all of my adult life was the types of jobs that I could get. And I think that there's so much confusion about why I would continue to work fast food or retail or even gas station jobs or convenience store jobs. And the truth is that is the professions that I can get hired for in my area. It doesn't necessarily mean that I am not trying for other types of jobs, but unfortunately, that has been my niche for all of my adult life. And I am 35 years old and I would like to change that course of life. However, I'm not in a position to do anything about it right now. Things that I wish that I never talked about was my status with my family, like some of my family members or even exes. You guys know that I co-parent, and you know that I have 2 children, one from a very, very young stage in my life when I was 21 years old. And then the other from a different stage in my life where I was with somebody for almost a decade. So I wish I would have never shared those things. I also talked about topics regarding my relationship with my mother, and some of her situation. It's not my story to tell, so I touched on it very briefly because it does come along with being on a low income. However, I wish I would have never shared these things. I wish I would have never shared my area. The area in which I live in, and even sometimes, even though I really do love getting mail from you guys, and I appreciate it, and it really worked well with my Etsy shop, and I started doing Etsy, and I was shipping out things that I was selling, and I was feeling like I was on top of the world. I wished I would have never shared my area. And I have to be really honest with you. If you think that I live in the town where my P.O. box is, You're wrong. My husband intentionally got a P.O. box out of our area because we don't want people to know exactly where we live for safety. This is the internet, and not everyone has the most positive or genuine ideas to other people on the internet. And really, this is going to touch on something in the things I will never share. And even though I have an Etsy shop and I have shipped to a lot of you guys, you still don't know exactly where I live. You don't know exactly where I live. And I live quite a distance from that P.O. box, and we truly only go check the P.O. box once a week. Sometimes even less. Things that I wish I would have never done is I showed a little bit too much into my financial world. When I first started YouTube, I was doing budgeting, and I showed my whole budget. I showed every dollar that came into this house. I showed how I was cash stuffing bills, and I was doing things that I thought no other budgeter was going to show you. No other budgeter was going to show you how they were paying their bills, when they were paying their bills, how they were making the money to pay their bills. And a lot of folks now will go to some of my budgeting videos and they will say, "Hey Amanda, what happened to the bills?" And that's because I feel like I shared too much. I shared too much. How much money we had, when we had it, what bills were being paid, how much money we were saving, how much money we were not saving, different things that came up in our lives that really didn't need to be on YouTube. And even though I love the budgeting community and I don't regret being a budgeter on that community or in that community, I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've got friends all over the United States and some in Canada and other areas as well. But at the same time, I feel like I showed too much. I showed too much. And realistically, if you knew my area and you knew where I lived and you saw how much money I was cash stuffing, you could possibly put me in danger. So I no longer stuff my bills, partially because I want to keep that private. I will show you what I pay for my monthly budget, but I'm not going to cash stuff it anymore on this channel because it's a safety concern. It is a safety concern. And I watch a lot of YouTubers who don't use prop money for their savings challenge, and I kind of wonder how they're keeping themselves safe. And some people on YouTube don't use their real name, and they don't really tell you where they live. And maybe that is the best way to go, right? But I feel like in the financial world, I showed way too much because I wanted to be transparent and I wanted to be that budgeter who showed you guys everything. Because I wanted to show you guys that you could do it too. Things I will never share and things that I've reconsidered over time. How much I make yearly at my regular job is no one's business. It is no one's business how much I actually make. I have shared with you guys, and there's been a lot of people twisting things on the internet saying, "Oh, well, you made $30,000 a year. 2 of you working would be $60,000 a year." No, $30,000 a year for the entirety of my family. So that would be me and Jordan together. Slap that together, $30,000. Can you live off $30,000 a year adequately? The answer is I don't think so. Now, that is not my life now, but that was my life then. And I think that I always get pushed in directions of what kinds of jobs that people want me to do. And the truth is we don't know each other outside of social media enough for you to proclaim that I could or would be good at specific jobs, because you don't know what I'm able or capable of doing, or something that I would not want to do, right? The other thing I will never share on the internet, and I actually think that people who share this, which I've honestly found literally maybe 1% of everyone on YouTube so far that I've ever watched, and I'm talking financial, budgeting, family channels, like all sorts of different kinds of channels. No one shows what they make after taxes or before taxes. No one really shows taxes. And I think that there's a twist in the universe that makes you guys think sometimes that I don't pay taxes. The truth is I've never really shared how much I pay in taxes and how much I make on my taxes, because that is something that my financial advisor, who does my taxes and all of my books, she doesn't want me to share it. She's like, no one shares their stuff on YouTube, Amanda, and that should be you too. So if you think that I don't pay taxes and I'm not a part of society, and because I'm a 1099 worker and I do my own thing for a living and I'm self-employed, double check some of your comments, because I do pay taxes. Jordan pays taxes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be meeting with my tax advisor in April. So I won't ever share my taxes with you. And I can tell you right now, I never get a refund. I'm not afraid to say, hey, I actually owe on taxes sometimes, or I owe it on most occasions. I'm not going to talk about the things that I write off. I'm not going to talk about the things that I don't write off. I'm not going to talk to you guys about YouTube taxes, okay? I will continue to never share my location. And as a matter of fact, when we move, we've considered not sharing where we are at all. At all. And that is for safety. For safety. There was a young lady who did budgeting quite a few years ago, and she shared where her new apartment was, her city and her state, and somebody came and busted into her budgeting binders. I don't know if anybody in the community remembers that, but that was a video that was posted quite a long time ago. Got a lot of views on that video. But I think moving forward, I will not tell you guys exactly where we are. I have considered just stating that this is the state that we are living in and leaving it at that. Okay? My relationship is not something you guys really see on this camera. You see us having fun, laughing, having a good time. And even though we do have a very close, tight-knit relationship, we are married, we don't want to show day in the life of us in a relationship. It's not something that we've ever considered. And as a matter of fact, Jordan made jokes the other day. He was like, if we become one of those families that do the dancing, he's like, it's done. We're not the dancing family. We are not the family who is going to go online and start preaching and, you know, talking about life and kids and all the other things. That is just not us. We're not that family. And it's not something I want to show. I don't want to show. And I think reality TV should really come to mind. How many people on reality TV that were married or in a relationship, how many of them lasted after that? How many? Not many. I'm telling you right now, not many. And we do want to be funny with you guys. We want to have a good time, and we can have laughs and we can joke. But for the most part, we just keep our relationships to ourselves. Okay? Another thing you'll never see on this channel, and I get asked a lot, can your son come on here and talk about being autistic? Why? Why? Why do you want him to come on here and talk about being autistic? He honestly doesn't think he's any different from anybody else. And when you have a disability, you don't see it. Because that is your normal. And I think a lot of people asked during the holiday time, like, why don't you get your kids on a camera and, you know, have them tell us their Christmas lists and all these other things? And the answer is no. No. I will never share pictures with their faces. I did show last year the big icicles, and my youngest son had a smiley face over his face because he doesn't need to be on social media. And truthfully, I think kids are so vulnerable and they should not be on social media. Really. I really think it's true. And kids are not mature enough to take some of the comments that you give me. So why would I subject my children to that? People have asked me 1,000,000 times for this one, and the answer is it probably will never happen. Somebody, time and time and again, whether it's one person or another, always wants to know why we don't do house tours. I've considered going to the manufactured home manufacturer and doing a house tour of something that we would consider in the future, but I don't want to show you my house. The second I invite you into my house is the second that I done lost my mind. Because I don't want to share my three most basics, which is my comfort, my peace, and my sanctuary. I'm not sharing that with you. We can have videos in here like I'm doing in my living room, but we're not going to be doing no house tours with all my stuff and all Jordan's stuff and the boys' room and like all these different things. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Something else that I will never share with you guys is I think that when we move, I will do a move out video of our mobile home, and I can do a move in video where I show you an empty house tour. I could probably do something like that. But the biggest thing I will never share with you guys is my income on YouTube or Etsy, realistically, or how much I've made on either of those platforms, because realistically, I don't think the world needs to know how much I do or do not make on YouTube. And actually, you would be surprised, it's much less than you ever thought, because this is a small channel. And I could be very lucky one month, and I could be very unlucky in other months. And going over the last 2 years that I have been monetized on YouTube, I actually was like, oh, this really is a hobby. It's not a job, really. I mean, it is, because I make a very like little tiny thing, but I'm not making buco bucks on YouTube. I'm just not. I don't know why. I don't know what happened in the last 3 years that makes people not want to subscribe to my channel or watch. And maybe it's because I'm blunt and I'm going to tell you the truth, and, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything or shine a turd. I don't know. But the truth is that these are things that I wish I would have never shared, and I wish that other people wouldn't share. And I think that we all need to be very thoughtful about the things that we actually post on the internet. And I'm even thinking about it now. And I realize too why people turn to things like cooking or groceries or cooking on a low income. And that is because people don't want to share their actual life. They don't want to share their actual day-to-day life. They don't want to. So they pick a niche that is very, very secure. And that would be one of them, would be cooking. So do what you can with what you got because it's all you have to work with, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.